ProCalcs University. We are the missing piece. Hey, welcome to HVAC Basics 101. I'm Top Latania, your instructor. And in this course, we're going to give you a brief understanding of the HVAC components as well as a quick walkthrough on how it all works to make the magic happen. So hey, grab your pens and paper and pull up that notepad on your computer and let's get going. So first, let's quickly go over the components of the AC system. First, you have the inside components, and depending on what type of system you have. Now, one could be an air handler, which is primarily used in warmer climates that do not require a lot of heat. Inside the air handler is the evaporator coil, where we remove the heat to cool the air. And then we have the blower, which pulls or pushes the air across the evaporator coil to move the air into your home. Now, Trane manufacturers have actually taken the typical blower configuration to the next level. Designed in the garage of an engineer with Trane, this Vortica, as they call it, blower is more efficient and quieter than your typical blower, allowing Trane to have higher efficiency ratings, amongst other things in their air handlers containing these blowers. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. Or you have the furnace. Furnaces are more widely used in colder climates where electric heat, typically used in the air handlers, would be way too expensive. The gas furnace keeps costs down when heat is required during lower outside temperatures. Inside the furnace, you will have some of the same type of blowers you have in the air handler, but with a heat exchanger, where the heat is produced, then with the blower pushing the air across the heat exchanger into your home, you get heat. In order to also have air conditioning for those locations which can get really cold in the winter, but hot in the summer, we must introduce the evaporator coil and place it on top of the furnace. For both the air handler and the evaporator coil on top of the furnace, they both must be connected to the outside component, the condenser. And inside the condenser are two very important components. First, the condenser coil, which works similarly to the evaporator coil inside. The other component is the compressor, which is like our heart. It pumps the blood or the refrigerant through the system. We connect both of these components with copper lines, which can vary in size depending on the amount of air conditioning required and the size of the air conditioning system. So that was a brief understanding of all the components. Now let's dive into how it all happens. First, using the blower, we pull air from inside the home through the returns, which are part of the duct system carrying the air to and from the air handler or furnace. Now notice this on the top right side of the slide. The air will then go through the filter, taking out dust particles and cleaning the air, then into the furnace heat exchanger if you have that, then into the evaporator coil where the magic starts to happen. The evaporator coil has a liquid chemical in it that will change state from a liquid to a gas. In the evaporator, the chemical known as refrigerant, or as you might know it of Freon, is a saturated vapor, meaning right on the verge of a liquid and a gas. As the warm air from the home passes through the evaporator coil, the refrigerant, by means of conduction, absorbs some of the heat, changing the refrigerant to a gas and bringing it to the outside condenser through the copper lines. Now, since the refrigerant has absorbed some of the heat from the air coming out the other side of the evaporator coil is cooler, typically by about 15 to 20 degrees. This air is then forced back into your home by the supply vents. Once the refrigerant gets outside, the condenser does the opposite the evaporator coil did. It removes the heat from the refrigerant as the air blows across the coils on the sides of the condenser and exhausting it out the top. This is why the air coming out of the top of your condenser is typically hotter than the outside air. Now let's think about this. The air must get into the returns in order for the air to pass through the air handler or furnace to be conditioned. So if the returns are not correct, the system will not even have an opportunity to function properly. Is your brain mush yet? This was just a brief overview of a heating and air conditioning system. As our courses continue, we will dig deeper into the different aspects which cause 95% of all failures in HVAC. Heating tends not to have as many issues, unless using a heat pump, which we'll talk about later. This is because most furnaces have fewer moving parts and less things going on in order to make the magic happen. They typically make fire with the burner, fire heats the tubes, air blows over the tubes, voila, you have heat. Well, that was fun. I hope I didn't put you to sleep. The fun stuff comes in the upcoming courses, but if I didn't at least give you some basics, I may lose you later. If you have any feedback regarding this course, please email me at tom@procalcs.net or just let us know how helpful it was. For now, thank you for watching ProCalcs University. ProCalcs, HVAC design simplified. ProCalcs University. We are the missing piece.
Don't forget to click below on subscribe to get all the latest training and amazing information from ProCalcs University. You never know what we'll do next.